our whole way of life will be gone forever. I've worked on this farm all my life. This has been my livelihood and my way of life, and I don't want that to change.
But change is coming for Andrew and his family, who've farmed this land for 94 years. Andrew is a tenant farmer, meaning he doesn't own his own farm, and if his landlord wants to change the land use away from producing food to producing energy, he has little power to stop it.
What will happen to this and surrounding fields if the developers get their way?
Well, it'll all be fenced off with 10-foot high deer fencing, covered in solar panels, and my livelihood will be destroyed.
This isn't the best agricultural land. It's not producing a huge amount of food overall. Perhaps it would be better if it was producing a large amount of energy.
Well, it's a thought, but I still think this sort of permanent pasture ground is better for the wildlife and the ecology of the whole thing. We have lapwings, curlews, skylarks, the brown hares. I think solar panels have got the part to play. I think house roofs, factory roofs, brownfield sites are the best place for solar panels. They don't blend in with the natural environment, in my opinion.
The landowners have not yet applied for planning permission for the solar farm and say they don't want to comment on a private matter.
That's the hares, foxes.
Yeah. But Andrew has found plenty of willing allies in his fight.
Our fundraising pages and all our petitions, they're all on here as well.
Excellent. Locals have gathered around him, organising town hall meetings and a social media campaign.
Would you acknowledge there is a climate emergency out there and we need greener energy?
Yeah, and we're hugely behind green energy. We really do support.
Well, you say that, but you don't want it in your view.
No, we don't want it on rural agricultural working land, not on land that is in use. It's being used to support businesses, it's being to support our villages and our towns. It's part of the food chain. Children from local schools come and visit it. And Andrew has worked so hard through his life to support this livelihood that he has. It's really unfair that that's taken away when there's plenty of other places for those solar panels to go.
But is it reasonable to say that our countryside should sort of be preserved as a single moment and not change?
No, I think as developers, you know, they push for more sites and they push for higher targets and bigger financial gain. It's the small local villages that are the ones suffering, and it's not the villages that are at fault. It's big kind of national government targets, and we all agree that green energy is the way forward, but don't do that on working protected Derbyshire landscape. Do it on rooftops, do it on brownfield site, do it elsewhere. That's not on someone's entire livelihood.
The very warm start to the year has been a reminder that climate change is here, and the recent flooding damaged farming. So solar supporters say renewable energy is the long-term answer.
Well, the biggest threat to food security in this country is climate change, and if we don't tackle climate change and really reduce our fossil fuel use, then a lot of farmland is going to be lost to drought and other effects. So we absolutely have to do that. We also have to find the most appropriate sites.
And for those like Andrew who we've seen in our film who are affected by this, I mean, what can you say to them? Is it just tough? The world is changing.
I think all of these changes in land management have to be addressed very, very sensitively, and there'll be clearly needs to be compensation in some cases. But in the end, we do need to deploy renewable very quickly. We're in a climate emergency. Climate is really just that we need to solve this problem, and that's something which we as a society we cannot ignore.
But the Tenant Farmers Association say Andrew is very far from a one-off.
Just about every week now, I get another TFA member calling me to say that they have, for the first time, had knowledge of a huge solar scheme that's going to either engulf their farm or take a large part of their farm. So yeah, weekly we're getting members coming to us, and we're talking about thousands of acres being taken out.
Nationally, the land taken for solar energy is less than golf courses and similar to that of Christmas trees. While panels can share the ground with sheep grazing or wildflower meadows, the enormous growth plans are likely to gobble up some productive fields.
We need to be concerned about things like food security. We need to be concerned about things like environmental management of land. And we're seeing an awful lot of land being taken out of food production, being taken out of agricultural production, and that's causing issues for landscape and biodiversity as well as food security issues.
Go on.
To reduce emissions and bills, Britain does need more renewable energy. The government wants 5 times as much solar by 2035. But should that happen at the expense of a more traditional way of life?
Steady, steady, steady. This has been my livelihood and my way of life, and I don't want that to change. and I would like that to be passed on to somebody else in the future when I've retired, which I'm hoping that won't be any time soon.